Good morning, traders, and welcome to the Flow with the Markets Tuesday. It is the 17th of May. It's currently 8:04, which is 4 minutes into Frankfurt Open at the time of this recording. So let's see how Monday opens and, of course, how we can adapt. I'm going to keep this one simple, straight to the point, and try to make it less than 20 minutes in order not to take too much time because the market is already running. Opportunities are already being provided, so we have no time to lose. All right. So, of course, I first want to start with the economic calendar. I want you to be aware of what is happening. Make sure to check the whole week. But pretty much for today, we have a couple of important Euro and USD news. Okay, so we have employment change and also GDP for Q1. And later we have retail sales for April for America. And then we have a speech from Lagarde and Powell, right? The president of ECB and the president of Fed, which is very heavy, right? This kind of combination is really scary. So I would expect that today Euro USD is kind of being tricky a little bit. It was also tricky yesterday, kind of going up, down, up, down, up, down, right? So it's cooking for something right now. And I do believe these news today are going to determine the potential direction. So I'm expecting also manipulation today, a little bit of tricky markets to kind of shake out, to maybe trick some traders into taking positions that are against the trend, maybe to build up the volume. And then, of course, once those come out, then we can have the big move. All right. We also have quite a few GBP news this week, right? So let's see how this one plays out, and some Aussie news, right? So we have a pretty busy pretty busy week, and every single day we have kind of a major news release to be careful of. So make sure that you are always checking your calendars. All right. So looking at the forecast for the dollar, well, pretty much I was expecting to begin with shorts in both cases, but the first one expecting a little bit of a pullback, which we did not get. We just opened, consolidated, right? And we just very slowly kind of made our move to the downside. You can see how corrective it is, which is very good because, again, remember, from the hard time frames, we are bullish, right? We overall have this first full hourly range. On the weekly outlook, we also found out a daily range, right, which starts from here, it ends right there. So we also can have another 50% like this, and you can see this 50% perfectly aligns with the zone that we have, that we can also tap this week, maybe even today, who knows. And if I just drop to the 15-minute again, so what we had yesterday, there is the open, there was a gap, the gap was immediately filled. We kind of chopped around, broke lower, broke higher again, pushed lower, and pretty much this push lower actually caused a shift of structures. Then we had a pullback, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right? Then we had a little bit of a trickiness during New York. So London was pretty nice. There were some nice shorts and also very nice longs on EU. Unfortunately, I did not get an intro on EU to catch some beautiful longs, but that's fine. And yeah, you can see that in New York, we had this very nice sharp spike into the highs. Then we shifted structure, and then from then we started trending lower. Okay, so currently it's important to note that we are below 50%. So technically right now we should start focusing on the longs, right? So what I see is a little level right there, but I do think that this one is going to get taken because look exactly what is on the left to it. We have pretty flat lows right here. So pretty much what my bias for today is just continuation with this overall momentum to the downside on the 15-minute. But the question is, are we gonna get an entry, right? Can we also jump on this train? Well, I'm just looking at EU on my other chart, and it's already starting to pump, right? So I do think yesterday we had the longs, and there was this nasty manipulation that, for example, if you were running shorts, maybe from here, right, targeting the lows, this one shook out everyone, and then after this we started moving. Okay, so as we have this very nice momentum right now, well, of course, my tip is always just flow with the markets, right? So we had the major lower high is this. Why? Because this is the lower high that actually caused the break of structure right there. Then we pulled back, we tried to put up a new lower high. This lower high failed to make a new low, right? So then it actually got liquidity grabbed, and right now we're already making a brand new lower low, which is great. So closes with a lot of momentum, and we also kind of have a new range right here. So let's see, the question is right now, right now it's Frankfurt Open and we're starting with a massive pump to the downside. So we can of course have a flush day, or this could be the manipulation. Okay, but I think because we're traveling towards this zone, we're traveling towards taking out these lows right here, I do think we can have a continuation lower on the dollar. So what I'm going to be waiting for right now is for potentially the next 30 to 45 to an hour to give me a pullback, right, lower high, and then to potentially short. Okay, and if I don't get this, then I just don't get a trade today, and that's fine. If we examine the 5-minute, then of course we can see how the market pullback started to create lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, last lower high, and then we just expanded after all the volume was gathered. So right now what I would appreciate is, as I said, a pullback into the highs, lower high, and a continuation lower. So let's see how this looks on EU. So EU is again bullish. If I just quickly trigger the Asian range and drop it like this, we can see that it was overall trending, right? And from yesterday, as I told you, so where I wanted to take a long from was precisely from right there, right? So it first tapped, reacted, then it came in a little bit too strong, so I did not take a long right there. And even if I took it, this low got broken, so I would have been stopped out. Then I tried to enter continuations right there, and I failed because I kind of suck in continuations if I don't get the initial one. Yeah, then we continued to flow. There was an opportunity right here. But it was at 12:20, which is my non-trading time, so I was not allowed to take this. Hit TP. If I took it, then we had this massive drop to the downside, which actually failed to break below this low, right, which was the major low that I wanted to trade from, which is very good to see. And then since then we very nicely expanded. Okay, so currently zooming in, we have this last kind of a little bit of a liquidity graph, which also created a higher low demand. We tapped inside. We pushed, pulled back, higher low. This failed to make a new higher high, so it got liquidity grabbed. And right now what we're doing is we are taking out the Asian high, but overall pushing with a lot of momentum. So again, what this makes me think that we are just continuing higher, because we also have this higher time frame major lower high. We're right now above 50%, right? But potentially I would even expect for us to travel towards this zone right there, this kind of big buy and then a very huge sell-off. This is really where the move started. Okay, so I do think we have more upside, so I'm open to longs. The question is, are we gonna get a long, right? So what I see right now is that we formed a little level right there. We kind of have this major one right here, but there is a lot of development that is happening on the lower time frames. It's not very clear. I'm not loving this price right now. So yeah, we have this initial one that changed the structure, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. This is the last higher low, right? And if this one fails, then potentially all of those can fail for us to come in, maybe to revisit this little guy right there. So what I'm looking for, again, you can immediately start looking for longs from here, right? But I just don't like this. It's kind of in the middle or in the push, and we just took out the Asian high, which usually is followed by a sharp kind of recovery. We can immediately see it. We just took it out, and then immediately we're starting to pull back. So what I'm going to be looking for is either to see if this is going to hold break structure and then start to follow continuations, or if we're going to have a nice sharp spike right there, see if we can have a setup. And if this one fails, then of course I'm going to either start looking for shorts like this, or just wait for the market to reach this one and then take a long. Okay, so it's all about again, adaptation. Tuesday is actually very tricky nowadays, and I've been having losses on Tuesdays kind of in a row. I think Mondays are even better, but yesterday I couldn't nail it. So yeah, be careful, and also be careful of the news, because I think the news are really going to determine what's going to happen. They can either push the market higher into our zones, or they can actually reverse the market and provide us with a short opportunity for Wednesday and Thursday, right? So currently bullish bias on EU, bearish bias on DXY. Let's have a look at EJ. And yeah, we can see that pretty much they look the same. Very corrective nature, which is very good. Just about to tap, just tapped actually 50% of this overall range, which is great. And yeah, what we should wait for right now is, if you are a patient trader, not going against the trend, but we should be waiting for the hourly and for the 4-hourly to shift lower, so we can start looking for shorts. Okay, we do not have anything on the left, which makes it pretty tricky, right? You don't have like a zone to say, okay, I'm gonna short from there, which is not very nice. And we can overall see right now on the hourly that we are still breaking structure higher. So what are we doing? We are bullish, and what we have is this higher low. Okay, so technically what we can do is we can just wait for longs, right? Look at this very flat price. So if EJ right now starts on maybe Frankfurt Open, or maybe later in the day, well, it should be right now, maybe 45 minutes later. If it starts with a sharp drop to the downside, taps into this zone, then potentially look for the shift, and go long, and then traveling towards the highs because we have a lot of empty space to fill in right there, and there is the first zone. So we can pretty much target this zone, which is a little bit too far away, but looking at how the market is currently making the higher lows beautifully, and look at the big pushes, the impulses to the upside, I get confidence that we can get another long on this one, although right now we're starting to tap above 50%. Okay, but also if EU continues to push higher, then of course this one can continue higher as well. Aussie dollar started very strangely yesterday. So yesterday on Aussie, this was the Asian range, right? So we pretty much massively dropped to the downside. But what we simply did is we revisited this kind of higher low formation right there. That pretty much was the last one before this big move higher. Okay, and what are we doing right now is we are precisely staying at this huge wick on the 4-hourly time frame, and it's being filled 50%. Does that mean that we can start shorting? Well, not really. Because if we examine the overall behavior, we created this kind of demand right there, push, pullback, held, and since then we have been very massively trending higher, right? So it's a little bit dangerous to start looking for shorts right now, but if you get a good hourly or a 15-minute setup, then I do think so, right? I can immediately see like a little zone right there being tapped. We're creating a double top inside it, which is not great because this one can get spiked into the highs. But again, guys, AU for me is currently bullish, so as long as we keep creating higher lows and higher highs, then I'm not shorting this one yet, right? Keep in mind we are at this beautiful big wick right there, but the 50-minute is currently very bullish. So what I would love to see is maybe a sharp spike into the highs, then a very sharp drop, and then of course a retest and continuation lower, right? And of course the other one that could also happen is you can have a top right there, and if all the pairs actually move in tandem together with the overall bullish sentiment that we're having in the bearish dollar, I do think we can also get another long on the Aussie, and maybe this high can get taken out for us to tap inside this big zone right there, which I think also is better positioned in terms of the daily, right? Because if I drop this daily zone, we are not yet in 50% on the daily. So pretty much as we start tapping 50%, this week can get taken. So we can tap right there, and then from there we can actually plummet. So let me know what you also think in the comments. But yeah, this is how I currently view AU. It is still bullish. And of course, if you start shifting to the downside from here, then we can start looking for the shorts. AJ is also tapping almost towards this wick. We're tapping, we're pretty bullish right now. So again, what we have to wait for is for the market to shift, right? We have to see. What I don't like is that we're really bullish right now on the 4-hourly time frame, which is sometimes conflicting because you might have a hard time frame bearish bias, maybe the daily is bearish, right? But then the 4-hourly is extremely bullish right now. So what I can tell you from experience is that you really have to wait, right? Really wait for the market to shift. Do not go against this prevailing momentum. Wait for the market to shift, and even if the market shifts right here, then you're always going to get setups right there to potentially target the low, right? Because many of us try to catch the top, right? We really try to get on the top, but sometimes the top just doesn't happen, and this market can continue going higher, right? Because the sentiment changes. So again, right now, what are we doing? Well, the hourly is perfectly bullish, right? So we have this higher low. So as long as we are above this one, well, I am bullish. I'm not shorting it, right? I can even look for longs, right? We kind of took out this high with these wicks, and we were starting to pull back a little bit. I would call it a pullback, not a reversal. We have a couple of zones. We also have this one. We also have this one right there. So you can see how many demand higher lows we have. So in order for me to start looking for shorts, then I need to see either those being retested, a failure to break above and then broken like this, or just a smash below, and then we can of course look for the lower high. Okay, but as well as I told you on the Aussie, I do think there is a high chance that we'll retest and go higher. Okay, so also be open-minded, look for the longs. Yes, we are in a very bearish 4H time frame. We're pulling back towards those big zones, but keep following the momentum until you're wrong, right? Because you can take a long right there, it can react and then fail. Well, cool, you're right now wrong in the long bias, so you should start positioning for shorts. Okay, so those are the Aussies. Pretty much the NZDs are also going to be the same. This one also developed the same way. We had this sharp spike to the downside and then it started trending very nicely up. And we're also just tapping into something on the left, right? So we have this hourly candle. And yeah, similar story. So this one kind of looks a little bit better because it also created a new high right there. So right now our higher low, it's technically this. And if you drop to the 15-minute, it might look a bit cleaner. Yeah. you can see that we pushed, we pull back higher low. Right now we have a higher high. So if we start breaking below these zones, retest, then we can start looking for shorts. Okay, so this is what I would say on this one. Kind of the Aussies look a little bit more bullish, right, for longs, but this one looks with this grab to the upside and right now starting to kind of consolidate and shift a little bit. I do think that this one can be the first one to be shorted. So let's see if this could be the case. But yes, also be open-minded for longs, right? Because look at the big bullish trend, right? But again, higher time frames are bearish. So this is what is going to prevail at the end. So let's see if we can have any shifts from these zones. I prefer the 50-minute to shift right now, and then we can start launching the shorts. NJ is probably into the zone as well. Yep, tapping into it, very bullish as well. I even see this very nice 4-hourly zone being created right here that caused this break of structure. So if I drop to the hour, yeah, this one looks a little bit more bullish. We also have another demand right there, and the 50-minute is also probably pretty bullish. You can see just pushed, pull back, push, pull back, push, pull back, creating higher lows and higher highs. So again, what is there a big chance of happening is for the market to pull back right there and then continue going higher. So again, be open-minded. I can see the JPYs are a little bit bullish. Yeah, this is possibly because of this pullback on UJ, and we haven't had a tap inside this level, and pretty much what UJ is doing right now is just chopping around a little bit. So let's see how this one is going to work out. I spotted a zone right here. Come on, man. That is being holding right now. It's kind of clear also on the voyage. It's this big candle that actually created this high. So we can see we have been holding towards this zone tap, but failed to break, tapping it, failed to break. So what is this market doing? It's consolidating. Okay, so what I would say immediately is that there is no clear opportunity. Maybe if you really look deeper, maybe you're already running shorts based on this resistance right there creation. This is a nice range manipulation, push lower, retest, another retest. So it kind of looks a little bit bearish. Well, if UJ shifts to bearish, then of course all those JPYs that we covered are also going to shift bearish as well, which is going to be very good. So let's see how this one is going to work out, but overall we are just ranging so far, so I'm giving it some time. And of course what we can have is a sharp spike into the highs and then potentially the reversal. So be aware of that. I do think we also have a couple of JPY news incoming, because it definitely needs a shake off. So check the economic calendars again to see if there are some EUJ news. Yeah, UCAT starting to pull back, but this one is pretty much overall bullish. So I wonder if we're going to stop somewhere right there. The dollar seems to be weak right now, kind of in a pullback mode after this big push higher. So let's see if we're going to stop right there, continue higher. USD Swiss is overall maintaining this bullish sentiment, which is strange. And then getting on to pound. So again, pound, I was calling a retracement trade on the pound. It did not reach this zone, but what it did is provide a slightly different setup. So we just took out this little low right there, and then what we did is we shifted the structure right there. So if you were on the chart, then potentially your opportunity was right here around 5 o'clock, which is a little bit late for me into New York. And then we started rolling very nicely into the highs. So again, I am not sure right now what is happening on GU, because we're so much pushing into the highs and I really don't understand this price right now. So for me, I would need some sort of a shake off, right? Yes, we're tapping into the zone, but again, yeah, it doesn't look very good. So if you start tapping right here, maybe reaching into the highs, then of course what I'm going to be monitoring is the 15-minute. So the Asian range right there is actually nice, right? But we're starting right now in a little bit of a bullish sentiment, as we see across all currencies as well. And currently our demand is this. But what GU loves to do is maybe manipulate below some of those demands and then potentially push higher. So I'm also aware of this. But yeah, overall currently the flow is bullish. So if you really trust in this big zone that is way too big, right? I would suggest you wait for the market to shift, to really show you a clear shift, pull back, hold, maybe show you a little bit of a confirmation that it's going to push, then retest and then potentially go. Okay, so this is how I would plan GU, but definitely I'm not trading this one right now. I think EU looks a little bit better, but let's see, very flat right here. So what does this suggest? Is it liquidity being built up to be taken lower, or is it just bullish flow being maintained and we are potentially about to go higher? So that is the question today for GU. And yeah, if you are feeling risky and if you trust in this overall long, then of course wait for some sort of pullback, look for longs. And if you're shorts, then just give it time and wait for it to reverse. We also had the news. GJ, like every JPY pair, is right now nicely pulling back in an overall kind of bullish sentiment. It's just tapping into the zone. I think we can get a little bit deeper, right? And on the hourly time frame, we're pretty bullish, right? We had this very nice pullback, push, pullback again, push, pullback, right? So it's pretty nice. And hopefully some of you actually took longs from here. I'm not sure if I called this one. Maybe I was actually calling shorts. I don't know. But we started with this very sharp push into the lows. Then we shifted structure. We also retested right there in New York. And then we continued to trend into the highs. So right now we're tapping into the zone. But is it ready? No. Also, it looks pretty bullish on the hour. And probably it also looks bullish on the 15. It's kind of, yes, forming these flat lows. So what we can have is a sharp spike low and then to the highs. Okay, but we can of course from here continue going higher into the zone, and then from there you just have to wait for new development to form, to shift, and then to potentially start going lower. Okay, so just covering the market, we do not have much of a yes setup today, so probably staying on the sidelines, waiting for some moves to occur, for some more structure to form. And of course, what I would love to do is just follow the momentum, right? So on EU longs, for example, GU longs with the overall momentum, AU as well. Euro GBP is just tapping into the zone, so I'm very curious what's going to happen, right? We're just tapping and we're already having a reaction. So let's see if the euro is going to go higher. Well, it definitely looks like it. So let's see if this one is going to start shifting, which means that GU can go kind of lower or start consolidating, while EU can go higher potentially. Gold made another spike into the lows, and we can just move the range up a little bit, down a little bit, and right now we're in this recovery phase. So is it a reversal or is it just a pullback? Well, the thing is, this fib is a daily fib, right? And right now the hourly is starting to shift, but that does not mean that we have a confirmation of a shift of trend. We can have a pullback, maybe if you feel risky, take a long, but then after this push hard, then we can potentially get here, and then we can reverse lower as well. So gold, according to me, is tricky also in terms of hard time frames. I'm overall bearish on it. So right now we can be having a little bit of a pullback because we tapped into a pretty significant zone, which is 1800s. So let's see how it's going to react. Pretty much I am still short, so I will be looking for the market to tap inside right there, start shifting, and then potentially go with the overall momentum and sentiment. Okay, but if you're feeling risky and if you get a nice sharp spike below the lows right there, I do think there could be a short-term long opportunity as well, but be careful with it, right? It's low probability and against the trend. Indices haven't woken up much right now. I am pretty much not focused too much on those. I'm just waiting for a second drop. I do expect a second drop. Hopefully we're not gonna pull back that much, right, before the second drop occurs. But we had like this nice sharp spike into the highs, recovery a little bit. So let's see if right now we're going to start shifting to the downside on the hour to maybe then start looking for some shorts, right? Because right now we're kind of chopping, preparing for something. Nasdaq tapped into our zone, right? Very nicely. In fact, started shifting. So this one is already moving shorts. So I do expect maybe a short move today during US session, especially after the news come out. So stay tuned for that. And the S&P is also kind of doing nothing so far, so I'm just staying on the sidelines a little bit and of course waiting for a little bit more bearish sentiment, maybe on the hourly time frame to start trending lower, so then I can start looking for some even day trading short setups, and of course looking to invest as we start getting lower towards 37 is what I'm looking for. So this is quite some space away. Nothing too much to comment on crypto. We're just kind of ranging right now, creating another kind of accumulation phase or distribution. Maybe we're gonna again pump lower. Retested supply once, retested twice, kind of shifting structure lower, but nothing too nice according to me right now. So again, it's kind of tricky because we already took out all of these lows, so taking shorts right now could sound a little bit we're extended lower, but also taking longs is just also kind of nonsense. So I'm just waiting on those. And yeah, Ethereum is also pretty much chopping around. So again, as I told you guys, there is nothing too like clear right now that really tells me, oh man, this is a trade, right? So what I'm going to be doing is just staying patient. It looks like that the DXY can continue lower. So if you start pushing to the lows, then of course EU, you can see that this zone is kind of being running away right now. Push, pullback, push. We kind of could be taking longs right there, but it's not very nice. So if we start having some drops to the downside, then maybe a shift, then maybe I can look for longs. But right now, yeah, look at this beautiful close, very bullish. So let's see if we can have a sharp spike into the lows, probably during London, to start taking any longs. EJ maybe sharp spike. Aussie dollar is a little bit 50-50. It's still bullish, right? Although we're tapping into a very major level on the left. NZD is kind of also tapping into very major levels on the left. So I would advise you to just wait for a nice shift on this one to be taking shorts. And the GBPs were also pretty, especially GU. It's kind of tricky right now. Do you look for longs or do you wait for the shift? I would advise you that you step aside because it kind of looks a little bit extended for it to continue pushing higher, but it's also not giving any shorts right now. So again, guys, give it some time. It's Tuesday today. Yesterday was actually pretty good. We had a move today. So today we might accumulate, as I told you, throw in a couple of wicks, confuse a lot of you, right? A lot of traders, you might rush to enter trades like without confirmations, because again, I don't see anything clear right now. But if you really wish to trade, then you might engage in some setups that are not high probability. You might get stopped. And then of course, as the opportunities occur, maybe later in the day or tomorrow, you're already running losses. So stay patient. I wish you an amazing week ahead of you. If you have any questions, you know where to find me, and let's hope we all have an amazing week.